This is the Talk is Cheap podcast. Only one undefeated team left in the NFL, ranking rookie quarterbacks today and recapping Week 6. I'm your host, Justin Hayes, and with me is my partner, Skylar the Godfather Krowetsky.
You come to me on the day of my daughter's wedding.
Well, the Eagles stomped the Giants, and Skylar, I know that's your team, and I hate to say this, I really do, but I truly mean it. Carson Wentz looks like a good quarterback.
Yeah, well, putting on my Sashi Brown hat, the ex-Cleveland Browns GM, I don't think he's a top 20 player. I'm just kidding, man. He looks like a top 10, top 5 quarterback to me.
I really can't put more than 5 guys in front of him.
I mean, with his injury history, you'd be scared to do that. But, his touchdown-interception ratio is godlike.
Yeah, he threw 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in this game, so that's a prime example. Completed over 70% of his passes, threw for over 250 yards. I don't know what more to ask out of a quarterback.
Yeah, he's getting more comfortable, in our offense as he plays more. So,
granted, I'm still not sold on your running back by committee, but they put up over 100 yards.
And you really just need a 100-yard rusher. If you take Carson Wentz's 14, it's still close to 100. So,
yeah.
Wendell Smallwood had the bulk of the carries, but I think Corey Clement looks like, the lead back in this committee.
And back to Carson Wentz, man, like seeing him run all the way around the field, behind the, coming out of the pocket, sideline throws, it's amazing to see.
Doesn't he kind of remind you of a Russell Wilson just a little bit, as in his elusiveness, not his play style, but his elusiveness?
Yeah, he gets loose in the backfield and really extends plays. He's like a mobile Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, and I think that was the best comp for him out of out of college.
He appeared to be one of those guys that had the frame, had the arm, but we didn't know because where he come from.
Yeah, he came from North Dakota State. You're not going to expect him to just translate to the NFL.
Right. And we were talking, it's kind of funny watching him because he'll do a giant rollout, and then all of a sudden he strikes this wide pose, and it looks like one of them old-fashioned quarterbacks.
Yeah, like the Johnny Unitas. Yeah, we were just talking about that before the podcast, yeah.
And it's crazy. You mentioned that's probably something to do with their lack of coaching staff.
Their lack of coaching up in North Dakota.
Whatever he's got going on is nice.
Yeah, I'm purely impressed with him. I'm so happy that we found our franchise quarterback. I think he's going to end up better than McNabb.
Yeah, and his injury shows no signs of
slowing him down. Yeah. I saw a little bit. I'm going to be honest. He looks a little slower. But, he was so good at being elusive, just losing that little step didn't really hurt him.
So 34-13, are you proud of that win?
I am. It's a division win against a tough opponent. All division games are tough in the NFC East.
Cowboys only beat the Giants 20-13.
Yeah, I don't think you can look at it, kind of compare. That's like comparing apple to oranges because, like I said, every game's different in this NFC East. You're going to get a different team every time you play them.
Yep, and with that different team, the Giants this week, or I shouldn't even call them the Giants. I should call them the New York Saquon Barkleys.
Yeah, the Saquon Sagons.
Saquon Barkley, 130 rushing yards and 99 receiving yards. He accounted for over 50% of their offense.
Yeah, it's unreal, man. This guy's like a video game. To be honest, I hate saying that. It's so cliche. He really is.
And I really felt like he was all that offense had coming into the season. They've got great receivers, but they've got Eli Manning at quarterback.
Don't say great receivers. OBJ looked awful, and our corners are literally a liability. So
you have that. Saquon Barkley led their team in yards, receptions. Where's Odell Beckham?
He's third on the list. He had 10 targets and he only caught 6 of them.
Yeah, and they're supposed to have Sterling Shepard.
Eli Manning didn't even have a bad game, so I don't know what, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then, like I said, Sterling Shepard is a target that they have, and then their tight end who's been,
hurt, Evan Ingram. Yeah, which, by the way, I think was a steal of the draft. I want to talk about him for a second. I think he was a steal of the draft. When they took him, were you there in Philadelphia with me? No, I don't think you were. But when they took him, it was a steal of the draft. And then the Browns, a couple picks later, took David Njoku, and I think he's a bust, but that's besides the point. But I would have never thought Evan Ingram would have ended up this good.
Yeah, I kind of had the opposite opinion about those two. I thought Njoku had the frame to play in line with the offensive line, and Evan Ingram was just a big, slow wideout.
Like kind of like a Devin Funchess, but the opposite. Evan Ingram played wide receiver, then went to tight end. Devin Funchess played tight end, went to wide receiver.
Exactly. But back to Saquon Barkley, this guy's doing whatever he wants out there. Average 10 yards a carry.
Yeah, literally against the best rush defense in the NFL. Let's state that. The Eagles are good against the rush. We have one of the best defensive lines.
I drafted him in fantasy football because I believe that.
I never would have guessed that Saquon Barkley would have been that good. Like, I expected him to be all right, but I think he's running away, literally running away with this Rookie of the Year race.
It's going to be easy for him because, as we're going to talk later, these quarterbacks aren't blowing your mind right now.
No, they're not blowing your mind. But speaking about running backs, and, we were talking about the Eagles need a couple running backs, and, I'm always the one bringing the trades here and the trade rumors.
Mm-hmm.
I saw something on the Steelers, from a Steelers writer that said they had a possible trade idea for Le'Veon Bell.
Tell me about it.
They said that it would probably take Ronald Darby, which is clearly hand and foot better than all our other cornerbacks, which I'm not too happy about.
Yeah, you're already struggling in the secondary, but
it said it would take Ronald Darby and a fourth-round pick.
That's
do you
all
think?
that
Is that worth it?
To get arguably the best running back in the league? Or
behind an elite offensive line who is just now starting to get healthy.
It would make your guys' offense significantly better.
Do you think it would put us in maybe the top 5 of offenses? I'd say right now we're top 10 for sure.
Yeah, with Jeffrey being healthy right now, it would.
Yeah, I don't think we even need the running back by committee then because Le'Veon Bell fits perfectly into our system. It's almost like the Steelers system. You give the ball to your number 1 receiver, your number 2 receiver, you give the ball to in space, and you throw to your running back and let him pound between the tackles.
Yep.
So I'm on that. I mean, there was another trade, though. I want to talk about one more trade. I'm sorry.
Sure.
It's my favorite thing. You know how I was talking about the Eagles cornerbacks are pretty much trash, especially Jalen Mills. I don't even know why we're still playing him. Our defensive coordinator loves him. But I heard Pat Pete's on the market from the Arizona Cardinals.
Patrick Peterson.
He was my favorite player for the longest time.
Yeah, how old is he getting right
28, but his contract, he's got 3 more years on his contract, and it's below market value. I think it's like $9 million a year.
That's all you need right now.
31. We're trying to win a Super Bowl now because as soon as we pay Carson Wentz in 2 years, I think your run's over. Yeah. As you see,
at that point, you'll probably have to draft a replacement and get it at the rookie salary.
Yeah, so might as well. I mean, I'd give up a first-round pick, and they need some offensive line help. Mm-hmm. I'd give him Steven Wisniewski. He fell out of love with our coaching staff. I think he's a former Pro Bowler when he played for the Raiders. So.
And actually, it doesn't take first-round picks to draft a corner either for a future.
Yeah, it does.
Look at the Dallas Cowboys roster. We're, besides for our number 1 corner, who was our safety last year, you've got guys like Jordan Lewis, Chidobe Awuzie. Their 2nd, 3rd, 4th-round picks all filling that secondary in the Dallas.
Yeah, I think that's really your low spot, but your bright spot, to look forward to, is that your secondary. I mean, they're all young, they're all going to grow, and they have athleticism and they're hungry. As the Eagles say, man, hungry dogs run faster.
Yep, and they limited Blake Bortles to only 1 touchdown. It was a game one-sided. We had the lead from the very start. 40-7.
But his completion percentage was in the 50s too. Don't just look at the the 1 touchdown. You guys literally limited this offense. Mm-hmm. Blake Bortles couldn't get rid of the ball. He couldn't throw it anywhere.
Yep. And their running game only rushed for 65 yards. I mean, it shows dividends to our linebacking core.
They were playing from behind. I want to tamper it a little bit. Remember, they are playing from behind. They only played 18.
But they only threw for 149
yards. But when they had to throw, that's what I'm trying to. Don't make it about your defensive line. I'm impressed with the secondary. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, because we didn't. We may have rushed them, but we only got 3 total sacks, and it wasn't for our big guys too. So yeah, 3 sacks is a good amount, but it's from Randy Gregory, who we know what he's been going through. You got Tyron Crawford.
Yeah, and Al Woods.
Yep. And that's really good considering that DeMarcus Lawrence was leading the league in sacks, and you're able to get that from those other guys.
Yeah, able to have players show up when your stars can't. Now, granted, stars are supposed to show up every week. However, they have off games too. So It's good to know that you can get to the quarterback when your stars aren't there.
But before I get to the Cowboys offense, which was probably the highlight of the show. Another great influence to our team, Conor McGregor showed up to that game, and whatever.
Dude, I saw that, man. I was so jealous.
Now, even though he doesn't know how to throw the football, kind of Carson Wentz-esque.
True.
But whatever stuff he brought, he needs to come every week.
Yeah, he brought some fire. He brought some hype,
some swagger. These Cowboys look good on offense.
You know what I think the Cowboys are missing in general is that whole Cowboys mantra, like, we're the Dallas Cowboys, we're automatically better than you. Yeah. And I think that swag's missing from the Cowboys organization. Yeah. I hope that it never comes, but, I mean, it showed when you start bringing the stars out, ironically, play on words there. They play. They're ready to play in front of them stars.
It's funny you said that. I mean, besides Des Bryant and sometimes he would put his vocals, he would kind of keep it down in. But the last guy that we've had with that kind of ego or kind of way he came to the game was really T.O.
Yeah.
And that shows you something, man. We need more of that swagger.
Yeah, you need to bring that swagger, and I think a strong defense will bring that to you, and I think it's coming, especially with Chidobe.
A confident Ezekiel Elliott will be key to that.
Yeah, I just forgot about Zeke for a minute, man. I forgot that it's hard to forget from The Ohio State University, but I forgot he can be that type of player. Mm-hmm. It's just whether is he going.
You got to win games for him, and you got to feed him.
Yeah, his ego is totally on like. He doesn't want to brag when you're not winning. That's kind of his like mantra is like he backs up what he says and he won't say nothing unless he wins. So
I agree, man. And he rushed for over 100 yards, 24 attempts.
I got him on a fantasy team, so thank God.
Hey, I got him on both of mine. You can count on me drafting Ezekiel Elliott as high as number 2 pick. Probably even number 1 if I had the chance.
I took him number 1, so.
Wow. So and then the other guy running the football, and I'm so happy to see it. This is actually his highest running game, or rushing game. Dak Prescott, man.
Yeah, when he's running the football, he's his best.
You can tell that he's the leading rusher for Mississippi State by the way he played. That read option or just the design plays were great.
Yeah, I think when you ask him to not stay in the pocket, that's when he does. I don't think Dak Prescott will ever be a pocket passer. I think you got to give him those bootlegs, not only the bootlegs, though, the read options. You got to get him running his feet, get the feel under him,
Yeah, it's really weird how this offensive coordinator's game planning, every week it's different. It's a total different strategy. So I don't know if they're going to get a pool of like 5 different kind of game plans on offense and just kind of the defenses don't know what they're going to throw at them. But really, it looks like only about 2 or 3 are working. So I believe in this. Get Dak on his feet, get him moving, get him some swagger, man.
Yeah, I agree. But I think what your offensive coordinator is trying to emulate here, as I like to connect dots here, the New England Patriots, they basically switch their game plan up for depending who they're playing, and I think you guys picked the right one to beat Saxonville, or should I say Laxonville?
Yeah, that's a second game in a row that they've lost, but New England Patriots, man, they were in a shootout.
But before we leave, let's talk about this Cowboys schedule coming up, though. I mean, you guys won this game 40-7. Let's.
It's funny you brought that up because this is how I feel. I think with the last two, with the way this is going to play out, we're going to beat Washington. We're already on a 5-game win streak against them, and I think they're going to start going downhill this season. We've got more talent on our roster, and I just believe we're going to be able to beat them in Washington, in the Capitol. And then we go on face Tennessee. They've stomped some good teams, but they don't
like my Eagles.
Yeah, but they really they're a hit or miss team, and they're struggling right now at quarterback. And then the next week, Atlanta, I marked that up as a win. And then we face Washington again. Man, like I said, we're already on a 5-game win streak. Keep that thing rolling. The only thing I'm worried about is when we face New Orleans at home and then Philadelphia at home as well. We've got the benefit. We play very well at home, but I'm kind of nervous about those two teams after a long stretch there.
Yeah, I got kind of the same feel as I think you're going to beat Washington twice. I think you're going to beat New York once. I think the Giants are going to get you on the Week 17. I got Philadelphia beating you week 10 because I think we're going to go.
Oh, yeah, I
roll.
skipped week 10.
That's all right.
That's in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
That's the one I meant that we would probably lose.
Yeah, I think that we're on a roll now. I think this is the catalyst we need. So if we beat Carolina, I think we're going on like a 5-game win streak. But I think you guys will claim us week 14. There's no way we're going to win both. I mean, if you look throughout history, I think it's only happened maybe like 3 times in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Between
and
Dallas
one year, I remember we beat you 3 times, and I got you to wear a Cowboys jersey to school 3 times that year.
Yeah, that was literally the worst day of my life.
It was the only time we ever made that bet, and you had to pay up 3 times.
I'm a man of my word, though. So I'm
a man of your word. I appreciate that. So what do you think the Cowboys could do this year? What do you think their record
I think
could
my
be?
early prediction was like 8-8 or 7-9. Right now I got you guys going 10-6, 9-7, depending on if you can beat Washington 7 out of the last 7 times.
Yeah.
So I mean that's a hard number to do. If I was a betting man, I wouldn't bet that. That's a bad bet. But I think that game will depend on whether you win 9 or 10 games.
I've been known to drink the Kool-Aid sometimes, and really, really suck up what they feed me. But
okay, Jonestown.
It's one of those things. But I promise you that I will not get overhyped by a 1 week, and I've done it all year. I've kind of taken it, a grain of salt every time we win. But against this good Jacksonville Jaguars team, yeah, they've had a rough 2 games in a row now, but they face good teams. But the fact that we were able to get, a little bit creative on offense and play amazing defense, and it actually wasn't a nail biter for once. I mean, for one time in my life,
you didn't have to have nervous beers.
Yeah. So it was a good feeling to actually get something where I knew that we played like the better team that day.
Yeah, to know that you guys owned it. That's how I felt after the Giants game. So, I mean, I understand completely, and I think you guys are going to go on a roll, and I think the Eagles are going to go on a roll, and I think it's setting up for a showdown week 10.
All right, so we actually almost segued over, but we're talking New England Patriots defeating the Kansas City Chiefs, man.
Yeah, I called it. I'm going to be honest with you. I called this.
Man, you asked me if I would buy that the Kansas City Chiefs would lose this week, and I knew they had a good opponent. But I had a feeling that they were just going to take this one more week. And they almost did, man. Let me sum this up real quick. It came down to one possession. You had the Chiefs punted 1 time. The Patriots punted 0 times, which is incredible all in all.
Yeah, which basically means Patriots should have won because they never had to punt.
Exactly. But then the Chiefs had 1 takeaway, and the Patriots had 2. And then you compare field goals. It was 1 more field goal for the Patriots. Neither team missed a field goal. And when you compare the timing, it's 23 minutes to 36 minutes. They came down with the last possession, and that's all that mattered.
Well, stopping you there, though, about the time of possession, that kind of describes kind of how the New England Patriots play and like kind of how the Kansas City Chiefs play. Like, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to beat you with quick strikes. They're going to hit you, like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
But
on the flip side, the New England Patriots are like surgical. They're like that Sherlock Holmes, like left hook here, right hook here, Yeah. They take time and methodically get down the field.
You run out of time, and then they win the game.
And you know what's different? And usually they do that in the air, and throw into, the receivers and then their running backs. But they actually ran the ball with the running back this week, and I couldn't wait to talk about this. Sony Michel, I think I had him like number 2 or number 3 behind Geis as my rookie running backs go. Sony Michel, 24 attempts, 106 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I never would have guessed he's been on a tear for the past 3 games.
Do you want to know something that I'm embarrassed to claim? I drafted him, right, in fantasy football. I last pick, Mr. Irrelevant, right? And I had him on my roster for a few weeks, and I was like not impressed. Like, I thought he'd be perfect for the New England system. He can do kind of it all.
He's a do-it-all.
And just last week I dropped him.
I mean, I don't even know how I do this podcast with you, man. I can't believe you dropped him.
He was only averaging like 6 points a game, man. So I drop him because I'm thinking, I didn't see his carries go up either. So everything was kind of just flat, and he wasn't. And when his carries did go up, say 1 week, his numbers didn't increase.
It's honestly okay though. I mean, it's gonna suck because I'm sure someone picked him up. But with New England, one running back will do good 1 week, the next will do good the next. So unless you own every single New England running back, it's really not worth it. I probably would have traded him, but oh well.
Well, and this is also a prime opportunity for Michelle. When they had 12 drives to run the ball down the field. They usually don't go for the strategy, but Kansas City's run defense is nothing to brag about. Their defense in general is just try to minimize damage.
Yeah, try to bend but don't break at least on 2 possessions, and we'll score every time we touch the ball.
And I'm talking crap about their defense. I always do, but one guy who shows up every week, man, every week,
Hitchens, man,
Anthony Hitchens, dude. I'm happy with Cowboys linebacking core, but I'm happy to see, I've vouched for him for so long, and it's cool to see him, survive.
So much for Marinelli's orphans then, huh?
Yeah, well, hey, Marinelli's orphans grow up and they get adopted.
They spread their wings and they get adopted.
They spread their wings and get adopted by a passing offensive team, and then show up on the stat sheet.
They eat all the tackles they can. They got to make sure they're wanted in the home. But anyway, I just want to talk about this game a little bit from my perspective. I was wrong. I thought Mahomes would have a bad game because Belichick is notoriously good. I can't tell you the exact record. I think it's 25-7 or 25-5 against quarterbacks under 25 years of age. He's notoriously good against it. I thought Pat Mahomes would have had a bad game, but he tore it up. But who had a better game? Tom Brady. Obviously Tom Brady's stats don't say that, but Tom Brady knew exactly what he had to do to win this game, and when it mattered the most, he won it.
I mean, he still threw for over 300 yards.
Yeah, I'm not sneezing at his yards, but
it was a lot of possessions, man. So that happens.
Yeah, well, I think it was him or some other player on offense when Kansas City was marching down the field and Tyreek Hill caught that pass. They were yelling at their defense to let them score. Tom Brady was bred for the last possession of the game for fourth quarter comebacks. He almost came back against the Eagles. It took a strip sack. And he still almost won the game. So all I'm saying is that Tom Brady's on another level, and I'm not betting against this man.
Week in week, though, this man Patrick Mahomes is showing up to a certain caliber.
He's going to end up being the NFL MVP if it's not Todd Gurley.
He's stepped toe-to-toe with Tom Brady. I mean, you have to at least give him the respect of that.
I mean, so did Nick Foles.
Very,
I hate to do that,
true,
but so did Nick Foles.
I think the Patriots are on a different level right now this time of the season. They've moved on from where they started. They started off rough.
Yeah, actually, I want to even hate on myself for this. I was still talking about the Super Bowl. The Patriots have moved on, like you said. The entire Philadelphia Eagles nation and our team, as you could tell in the beginning, did not move on from it. So I think that's something that we can learn from Tom Brady and the Patriots.
Yeah, man. I'm really starting to believe what you're putting down there. They're starting to play like the Patriots we know.
Yeah, the gold standard.
Really. And I believe if they get a win against this mighty defense in Chicago, they could keep going, get hot, and really I think if they beat Chicago this week, they're my favorites to winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you because I think they're going to beat Chicago. I mean, I've benched, and I hate to bring fantasy in all the time, but I benched every single Chicago offensive player that I had. I benched their defense because I think that New England's going to kind of destroy Mitch Trubisky.
Systematically tear down Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, now remember, Matt Nagy is from Kansas City, right? He's got the Andy Reid coaching tree, but Bill Belichick already learned how to beat the Chiefs, so why wouldn't he be able to beat the lesser Chiefs? Basically, they're literally the lesser Chiefs that play a little bit better defense.
Yeah.
So they're my pick to win the Super Bowl as long as they continue on this tear. But my other pick to go to the Super Bowl is the Los Angeles Rams.
The only undefeated team left.
Yeah, I mean, could you pick anybody else, to be honest with you? Unless it was a dark horse, you couldn't.
Yeah, in the NFC, they're really the most talented roster you have left. I mean, of good record teams or good performing teams right now, they're the best roster.
Yeah,
and
they're head
winning.
and shoulders above everyone else. I mean, even in the AFC, I can't think of a better roster than this one.
Yeah, but who heads the team is the quarterback. And where I think they're maybe a little unstable at, and we've mentioned it before, Jared Goff, he fits in systems well. And I'm not completely cutting his head off. I'm just saying he benefits from this head-to-toe amazing roster.
Yeah, he definitely does, and you can see it. I mean, he had to rely on Todd Gurley this game.
Yeah, they won. They beat the Broncos. They won, and he threw 1 interception, 0 touchdowns, but his rating was under 60.
Todd Gurley had more rushing yards than he had passing yards, and this is 2018 in the NFL. That's all I really have to say about Jared Goff is that he's a good system quarterback in a good system.
Yep.
He literally needs Sean McVay. We saw when he didn't have Sean McVay, he wasn't good. Like Carson Wentz and Dak Prescott have never had an offensive-minded coach like Sean McVay, like Doug Peterson, offensive-minded coach, But he's not Sean McVay. Sean McVay knows how to dial up stuff, all kinds of tricks and all that. And I think if you put Wentz in this system, we're talking the next Peyton Manning.
Yeah, and Sean McVay, it's really something when a coach is able to get his running back over that 200 mark.
It's just as we're growing older, man, I have never, realized that coaching means this much.
In the NFL, it is a huge deal. I'd say in some other sports like the NBA, coaching doesn't matter as much.
Or the MLB.
Yeah, it
literally has no bearing. Zero.
You're looking at so much game planning and the way you prepare a week, and then play calling. It's crazy.
You got to be a good play caller too.
Yeah,
like a little college football, from The Ohio State University. Urban Meyer's a great recruiter, great coach. He's a terrible game day coach. The boys are never ready to play.
I couldn't agree more, man.
I think it's the nature of the sport. You got to have your coaches good at specific roles, and they got to be damn good.
Yeah, and they're really good. They go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, when they're really good, they go to the Super Bowl.
Or they win national championships. Urban Meyer, he may not be a good play caller, but what he's dang good at is halftime adjustments.
Yep.
And late game type of stuff.
Yeah, late game type
of stuff. And recruiting the guys who have stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think halftime adjustments in the sport of football mean more than, people realize. I mean,
if
it's okay to come out flat in the first half, first quarter.
You figure out what you got to do.
You got to figure out what you got to do. And you got to come out and punch them in the mouth like you should have.
And if you've got a joke for a coach, you ain't going to figure out what you got to do. The players won't figure out what they have to do because they're getting the plays from somebody.
I think every team in the NFL that has a defensive-minded coach, fire him and move him to defensive coordinator, find an offensive mind. Like whoever the Los Angeles Rams offensive coordinator is, hire him.
Yep.
Whoever the Eagles offensive coordinator is this year, hire him. Kansas City, hire him. That's kind of my 2 cents on the whole Jared Goff Los Angeles Rams thing. But there was another team in their ball game in Week 6. I mean, the Rams beat them 23-20, but the Denver Broncos, man, what's going on?
Man, the fact that they were able to compete with the undefeated Rams
shows me that their roster's talented.
It's got something. Case Keenum played a better game than Jared Goff. I mean, that's apparent.
Yeah, Nick Chubb had 3 sacks, though. Yeah, I just was so shocked that Nick Chubb showed up today. Like, he showed up to play.
That's tackles for losses?
No, that's sacks, dude.
Oh, man, you're right.
He had 3 sacks. He showed up. I guess maybe he was worth the top 5 pick Cleveland didn't take on him.
Yeah. I was saying it from the start. Build your roster, man, before you get your quarterback.
Yeah, true. You have to build it and then get your quarterback because you can almost have anyone play quarterback. Almost. I mean.
Well, you look at Goff. I mean, I'm not saying he's a scrub, but this is our conversation we're having, man. You need a system to put a quarterback in.
You know what's funny, though, man? Denver's coach, defensive-minded head coach. That's all I'm trying to say is look at these weapons. Let's just compare them for a second on offense. Obviously, you'd rather have Todd Gurley than the Denver Broncos, Royce Freeman.
Yeah,
and
think of the first
Philip
name
Lindsay.
Yeah.
Philip Lindsay. I would rather have Todd Gurley. But wide receiving core, I don't think it's close. I'm taking Emmanuel Sanders, Demaryius Thomas, and Cortland Sutton over Robert Woods and Brandon Cooks.
This is one of the best wide receiver cores in the league.
Right there with Minnesota. I think Minnesota and them are probably 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. And then defensive-wise, they go toe-to-toe. I don't – they lost Aqib Talib to the Rams, but they got they got a better pass rush. They got just as good of a defensive line.
Great linebacking core.
The only thing that they're less at is corners. And they still have Chris Harris Jr. and Bradley Roby from the Ohio State University.
I like that. This game really, for Los Angeles to be a 7-0 team right now, after post-game, actually they're 6-0.
Yeah, 6-0.
6-0.
They're about to be 7-0, so.
Good point. But what really came down, it's shocking that this just came down to the Broncos had one more punt than the Rams.
Yeah, they couldn't convert. I think that goes down to your defensive head coach not being able to call plays correctly, and Case Keenum, which Case Keenum is the stopgap quarterback. If they were grooming a quarterback to take over, I think we're talking Denver may win the division in a couple of years.
Well, talking about Denver, they played their Week 7 game, and that's kind of what had
they
me
played it
messed
last
up.
night.
Arizona Cardinals got crushed, man.
Remember, they were my pick to be last in their division, in the Los Angeles Ram division.
That's a dang good call, man, because, we talked about it. They've got a nice roster in Denver. They're missing some pieces, below average running back core, but, hey, everybody kind of showed up against Arizona.
Yeah, if you're playing Arizona, everyone's showing up. Even Von Miller, I'm just quoting him directly, said, we're going to beat their ass. That's just what he said. I'm not.
Speaking of Von Miller and that pass rush, him and Bradley Chubb combined for 5 sacks and 3 forced fumbles. And I believe that they had something to do with that 3 interception mark in Josh Rosen's
I think they
column.
did. I like I said, I don't think Arizona can protect their quarterback, and that's where my Pat Pete kind of trade came in.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about Nick Chubb again. He's showing up now. I think for pass rushers, if they're not like immediately Khalil Mack, it takes them a couple games, a couple things to feel out how an offensive line works, and they got to build their confidence. So.
Yeah, and sometimes it takes a couple years with those guys, but when they start showing it is when they start being consistent.
Yeah, when they start, they can turn into Khalil Mack. I think he's benefiting from learning beside Von Miller and playing beside Von Miller. Plus, I think Denver, this is turning into what Denver wanted to begin with. We want a fearsome foursome. They got Von Miller, Shane Ray, Shaquille Barrett, and Nick Chubb, and they just alternate them, bro. They just go after you.
That's a nice defensive team. A nice amount of weapons to have to scramble a rookie quarterback.
Now just imagine if they kept Aqib Talib.
Yep, they had somebody shut the wide receivers down on the outside, man.
But shutting down, though, they shut down this Arizona run game, too. David Johnson had 39 yards.
We need to talk about this. I don't think he's had a game over 100 yards yet, has he?
No, I don't.
Rushing?
Yeah, just rushing. Combined, yes, he's had, but I don't think just rushing. He's had over 100 yards yet.
This is looking bad. 14 attempts for under 40 yards, man. That's not what you want out of your guy who was MVP candidate 2 years, 3 years removed.
You got to remember, though, I don't want to be too harsh on David Johnson because he really ain't done nothing but bleed for this team sweat for this team. They're not giving him much help. They're not using him in the passing game like they should. And when he runs the ball, it's obvious, like, we're going to run it, like, single back sets. Like, they're not.
Yeah, he was more productive, you could argue, in the passing game, but they targeted him only 3 times. He caught all 3 passes for over 10 yards a catch. What more can you ask out of the guy?
To trade him to Philadelphia. That's what I mean.
You see, I'm still not sure if he's reliable though yet. You mentioned they're not giving weapons, and I would agree with that, but usually you see 1 or 2 good games at least.
Yeah, and there's no signs, but I'm just saying if they're selling, I'm buying.
Yeah, there's a low price tag on a potentially high quality player right there.
Yeah, if they're selling, I'm buying, like I said. But can we talk about Larry Fitzgerald's decline for a minute?
Yeah, man, he had 8 targets, only 4 receptions, man. That's not what you're looking for out of your number 1 receiver. I
don't think it is, but wait a second, man. I just got a notification on my phone. looks like the Cardinals fired their offensive coordinator, Mike McCoy, so maybe it was offensive coordinator related. We were talking about how much coaching matters.
That just happened.
That literally just happened.
So
it says Arizona is promoting their QB's coach, Brian Leftwich, as its new offensive
Byron
coordinator.
Leftwich?
Yeah, Byron Leftwich. This is from Bleacher Report.
Nice. He's the... I just want to talk about that before we get... That's actually the old quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars, man.
Yeah, when they were trash and they had Mojo Drew.
And he was a mediocre quarterback around the league.
So you think he's going to be a good offensive coordinator? Well, I can't really say that because...
there's been backup quarterbacks or low-caliber quarterbacks become something. And this is a whole nother topic. I'm only going to say it for a minute, but usually your backup quarterback in your team is the most knowledgeable player on the team because
that's all he does.
All he does is study what's going on the field. He's on that little Surface Pro tablet, and he's watching how plays are breaking down. And his job is to communicate with the starting quarterback. And that's often why they're so ready for the game is because
they always seem ready when they come right in.
Cowboys promoted their backup quarterback to quarterback coach, Kellen Moore, and then they're starting. I don't know why I said starting, but their head coach, Jason Garrett, was the backup. Troy Aikman.
Same with the Eagles. The backup quarterback for Brett Favre was.
So
let's
not knock mediocre quarterbacks. And he spent some good time as a backup quarterback, I think, in Pittsburgh.
It was Pittsburgh. It was.
Wow, my memory suited me right there. But
behind Big Ben, which would be a good player to be behind.
Right. So. Let's not knock it before we see how he does. Maybe they felt some type of way about him. I mean, maybe they just wanted to hop on the trend.
You know what I want to knock, though, dude?
Yeah.
Josh Rosen.
There we go. Speaking of quarterbacks.
Yeah, speaking of quarterbacks, since we're on the topic.
And backup quality quarterbacks.
Yeah, they just fired their offensive coordinator. We'll see what happens, but he definitely looked like a backup quarterback.
Man. That's scary.
Like, I think Dan Orlovsky or whatever his name is would have did better than Josh Rosen.
The career backup quarterback.
Or John Kitna.
Yeah. He started Bengals. He played. That's a good backup quarterback right there.
Charlie French Fry.
But you've got, that's going to be scary for Josh Rosen.
Yeah, like he's going to have to learn. Yeah, change off mid-season rookie quarterback, no offensive help.
Coming off his worst game of the season. Probably. Yeah, definitely.
Well, I think that sends the message though. We're not going to tolerate losers in here. So maybe that's what Josh Rosen
love that
needs.
message, man.
I think
some places need to follow that message much harder. I mean, keeping a head coach after an 1-15 season and 0-16 season.
Oh, that's weird. I think. What team is that? Is that team that's just a little bit north of us?
Yeah, up on the lake.
Up the mistake on the lake?
Yeah.
Cleveland. That's right. Yeah, I'm going to keep a 1-15 head coach that doesn't auto call plays.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just feel like they need somebody's system and they need a long time to build a system and to lose a starting left tackle just from age because they've just wasted so much time building a system and then rebuilding a system. That I'm going to get off this topic.
Yeah, we're just going to keep going on forever. However, I think you did have to keep him, let's be honest, because you got to show that there's some continuity here.
Yeah, well, you can't just repeat the cycle.
But, let's go on to some greener pastures.
All right, man. The last thing I really have for the show, we ranked overall all quarterbacks in the league, but another week's passed, and I would love to see your thoughts. And a lot has happened with these rookie quarterbacks. I want to see your thoughts on who out of these rookie quarterbacks is your favorite, or who's gonna end up with the best season.
Lamar Jackson. No, I'm just kidding. He's a running back.
I was literally speechless. I was not expecting you to say that at all, so that makes sense. Yeah,
there's not much to talk about there. I don't actually think he's going to be a good quarterback in the NFL.
I think he has one completion overall this year. So we've talked about it. They throw him out on the field in
obvious plays. Like,
exactly.
It's obvious. So we already talked about it. Josh Allen, I don't know if there's much to talk about there. Raw, no offensive help whatsoever. Like, his best offensive player is LaShawn McCoy. And he's 30 years old.
Yeah.
Granted, I have a soft spot for LaShawn McCoy, but
he's dealing with that elbow issue. day to day right now, but it's something like a UCL or whatever.
Yeah, something crazy. Then Josh Rosen would probably be my next bet. I mean, on the season he's got 820 yards. He's only played though, a couple weeks, 3-4 weeks.
So. He was actually throwing some passes week 2. And I think he was throwing some passes week 3, but it was just like a fluke. He came in for a part of the game. But week 4 he got put in.
But he's got 3 touchdowns to 5 interceptions on the season, though. I know he doesn't have much offensive help, but you can control if you're going to throw a pick or not. Mm-hmm. So, I mean.
Yeah, we talked about how little's on that. They've got weapons. They should be producing.
Yeah, you're right. They do. David Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald, even on the decline, but Christian Kirk, good.
Yeah, it should produce at
offensive
some point,
line doesn't help, and I think that's the problem is Josh Rosen's the type of player that's not going to throw the dink and dunk passes. He's got an arm. He's got touch. He's going to throw, intermediate to deep throws, and you got to be able to protect him for that. Mm-hmm. I think that's the downfall for a lot of quarterbacks is that.
Oh, yeah, he did we mentioned how many times he got sacked.
Yeah, he got sacked 6 times to be exact.
Yeah.
5 by Chubb and
2
Von
guys.
Miller.
Yeah.
I think my next would be Baker Mayfield, probably as my second best quarterback this year. I think we've been overlooking the best one. But Baker Mayfield's my second best quarterback. I think I'd have to put him there because you can obviously tell that he's like under 6 foot tall.
See, I wanted to hear your opinion on this.
Like my thing is that he's got the arm talent. He's got the guts, he can lead a team.
Yeah, but he's like a post-game quarterback. It's awesome.
Yeah, he's great.
He's what you want your quarterback to be post-game and pre-game, but you mentioned it. I noticed it too, man. He looks small and those linemen just start collapsing.
Yeah,
on
when that
him.
pocket. Well, just wait till it's cold outside. That's what I want to see. You got a quarterback with I think he's got small hands too, so I know they're not bigger than Josh Rosen's or Josh Allen's, so
yeah.
I'm waiting to see how Baker Mayfield plays in the cold, but you can tell the way he has to throw the ball too. It's like he puts lift on it and then it comes down. All his passes. Wait till the wind's blowing.
And sometimes they fly. Sometimes they go over him.
I mean, his receivers aren't helping him. The only one catching the ball is Jarvis Landry. His offensive line isn't helping him. I get that, but I'm just talking about pure throws.
I wanted to put an asterisk on it because I really feel like. And before Cleveland fans bury us and completely hate us, there's something.
There's hope. There is hope there.
Yeah, it's like you said, receivers aren't giving him much help, and maybe that's kind of your scapegoat
for right now.
For right now is, I think so far they're Callaway. He's like not catching over 50% of the passes thrown to him, and Landry had a terrible game last week. At least targets to receptions, he was terrible.
Yeah, that's the thing is that he doesn't like I said have much help. But from a pure passer standpoint, if they don't get him out of the pocket, it's going to be an issue. His whole career, I think you'll end up firing Hugh Jackson, and I think you're going to be replacing with someone. And I think you're going to try to basically tell Todd Haley, ship up or ship out. I mean, he's supposed to be the Steelers' offensive coordinator, where they had like one of the most high-powered offenses, and look at what they're doing now. Yeah. You need talent to do what you're doing, but, I mean, he made players like Marquise Bryant or what's his name? Whatever. Martavis Bryant. And Justin Hunter and Jesse James and all these players, no-name players that wouldn't really play anywhere else. Good
point.
So why isn't it working here?
And when Martavis left, he became a nobody. In Oakland, I think.
Yeah. So really, I think there's some coaching that needs to be changed. There's some offensive line that needs work. They just need literally a left tackle or a right tackle. They need to let that passer have some time. The pass rush is too strong against him. But moving on to the best quarterback. Sam Darnold.
Rookie group?
Yeah, out of this rookie group, Sam Darnold.
Man,
he looks the part.
I feel like I was right on this guy.
Yeah, you said Sam Darnold was the best passer.
I think out of all these guys, though, I think all these guys really have bad systems. I was going to say, I think Sam Darnold's got one of the worst systems around him and worst talent around him. I mean, he doesn't have a good number one receiver.
Baker Mayfield has the best team of all these players.
That's what's sad to say.
He has the best team. So
yeah, I mean, Josh Rosen, you can't say that he doesn't have weapons to throw to, but apparently the offensive coordination isn't good.
Yeah, well, you got to remember with Sam Darnold, he has the best offensive line, like as in pass rush standards.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Browns have a good interior offensive line, but their outside, their tackles are awful. It's the reverse for the Jets. Their interior line is awful, but they have Calvin Beachum as their left tackle, and they got the Snell guy they drafted, I think, from Virginia or Georgia, one of them Southern teams, as a right tackle, and they're both good, and Snell's turning out to be like one of the steals of the draft.
Yeah, so it's something to keep an eye on. I like your idea on him. Like I said, I thought he had one of the best touches on the football when he released it and dropped it in.
Yeah, I don't take USC quarterbacks, so that's kind of, I had that theory where you don't take warm weather quarterbacks, so
Yeah, and around this time of year, it's going to start getting a little bit nippy over there in New York.
New Jersey, but it's kind of just a technicality.
Yeah, the Meadowlands in New Jersey. So you've got Lamar Jackson at 5th, really a running back.
Yeah, my running back.
Josh Allen 4th, Josh Rosen 3rd, Baker Mayfield 2, Sam Darnold number 1.
That's ironic that you say that. I just want to put that out there. From our quarterback rankings, this is how you have them exactly ranked.
That's why I'm pointing at you right now. Like, podcast won't show that, but I wanted that on the record. That's exactly, if I have that file on my computer, but that's ironic. That's exactly how
it's ranked.
I might have Mason Rudolph over Lamar Jackson, but he hasn't played this year.
Nope, but I think Mason Rudolph is somebody we need to keep an eye on because I think he's going to be a good quarterback.
I like that little tidbit. Yeah, we need that little bit of keep your eye on the horizon who we may see sometime. Yeah, that about wraps it up, man.
Yeah, just a couple final thoughts here. If this class produces 3 to 4 quarterbacks in this draft class, the next draft class, the 2019, there's no way it produces maybe even 1. We get about 2.5 to 2 quarterbacks per draft class that can be franchise guys, and they might not always turn out to be the franchise guy, but perceived franchise guys. So I don't think there's any way we're going to get all these quarterbacks.
You heard it here first from Skylar the Godfather Krowetsky, and that has been our show. Make sure you visit us on thetalkischeappodcast.com, Facebook, Twitter. Check us out on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher Radio. You got it. Name it. It's there. Thank you.